friends. Do you like my catchy total clickbait title? Every streamer must do this. I know it really is totally clickbaity, and I apologize for that, but I do really mean what I am about to say, and I do hope that you stick around to actually hear what the opinion is, because I do think it is incredibly important. And I promise I'm not here to tell you to like start slinging chairs for some company or to sign up to be the new sponsor of some energy drink. I'm not here to talk about algorithms on YouTube or TikTok or how you can grow. There's literally 1,000 channels and 1,000 videos you can watch that will help you with those things. This is literally something that every single one of us should be doing from day one, and pretty much every streamer I've ever met doesn't do, including myself. 100%. I think in the beginning, when we're new streamers, even if we have been in the Twitch community, we're just so excited that anybody wants to be a part of what we're trying to do and wants to watch us play games and wants to be a part of our little family and our community, that we forget that we're responsible for that community, that every little building block, that every little piece that we put into the house that we build is our responsibility to control and make sure that it's neat and taken care of and protected, and to make sure that it is building our walls correctly so that they're not going to fall down. And having that responsibility is so important, because just like we're responsible for all the individual bricks, we're responsible to make sure that they all go together well. And that means that we have to do something very, very important for our community and for ourselves. And it is set boundaries and enforce them. And this is a very, very personal thing. I am not going to be able to tell you in this video what boundaries that you should set for your community and what ones you shouldn't set. Sure, I do hope that everybody who is watching this follows at least the basic boundaries that I would say that we all kind of agree with, that you're not allowing people to be racist or bigoted or sexist or nasty in your chat. It's easy to drop a ban hammer on somebody who is being flat out racist and dropping racial slurs. That's an easy decision to make and an easy boundary that I think most of us can agree with, that we don't like to see in our communities. At least I hope so. But this is more about knowing the things about yourself that are going to make you feel triggered, or that are going to bother people in your community and make them feel uncomfortable, or questions or conversations that aren't going to make people feel safe in the space that you're creating. So let's have a couple of examples. So something that I've always struggled with since the beginning of my streaming career is something that I think a lot of us struggle with, and that's self-promotion. We really want our friends and colleagues to be lifted up in their communities. We want to be seen as someone who supports them and loves them and gives them attention. But it's a lot different to have a break in your chat and to say to somebody in chat like, oh, hey, so-and-so, aren't you planning a birthday stream coming up next Tuesday? What are you doing for it? And to invite them to have some promotion about it, or to discuss something that's going on in their community, or for them to raid you and you to ask them what game they were playing and ask them how they're liking it. Those, to me, in my opinion, are all totally okay ways of doing self-promotion. That's completely different from your friend walking into your stream and being like, yeah, hi, just dropped in to say hi because I'm working on my birthday stream that's next week. To me, that's not a nice thing to do. It's inappropriate. It derails the conversation that's going on to turn it on you. If you're going to be in your friend's stream, you should be there supporting them, and you should not be there trying to promote your own content. Where other friends that I have feel completely the opposite. They let people self-promote all over their channel. I watch people walk into their chat literally just to mention their stream, and then they leave because they know that person is going to let them self-promote. I don't like that. But again, that's where boundaries are different. But you need to figure out how you feel about that, and then set that as a clear boundary and let people know, like, hey, unless I ask you about your stream, it's not okay for you to bring it up. And then hold people in your chat accountable for that by deleting comments or timing people out, or even having private conversations with them later. Like, hey, you're coming into my stream a lot and I really appreciate it, but every time you come in, you're just mentioning the stream that you have later. Like, that's not okay, man. And I think that that's a big part of it. It's about being honest with your friends and the people within your community, and being willing to have private conversations that don't embarrass anybody. Because if you're like me, you hate that confrontation. You hate having to go and talk to someone in your community because they're either pushing your boundaries or they're breaking them completely. But it is something that you have to be willing to do. That kind of leads to something I wanted to talk about in the video, and that's how I set my boundaries and how I enforce my boundaries. I have some pretty clear rules in my chat that I think are important and that I want people to follow, but some are a little bit more in the gray area. Sure enough, I have don't self-promote in my chat, in my rules, so people should know when they come in not to self-promote, right? But does that mean that I'm going to slam them right in the face with a ban hammer just because they were like, oh yeah, just hanging out, looking for somebody to watch and while I get ready for stream? No. I let people know what the boundary is, make sure they know what it is, and then if they don't respect that boundary, we take the next step, which might lead to a ban in my socials. I promise you, banning someone from your community because they do not want to respect your personal boundaries will not affect your numbers in the way that you think that it will. It doesn't matter if they just dropped you a $1,000 tip. There is no amount of money that someone should be able to give you that will allow you to break the rules and boundaries that you have set for your community. The protection of your community overall, in the grand scheme of the years that you are going to be streaming, is way more important than one person. I promise you, no matter how important you think that they are to your community. Again, that doesn't mean one person makes one mistake, offends you one time, and you write them off. I don't think that's the answer. I feel very strongly in education first in almost every situation. A lot of people argue nowadays that we should just Google things because the answers are out there. But I've lived all over the United States, and now I've lived in 7 different states. And I will tell you right now as a promise, there truly are just people that ignorant out there. And once you take the time to have a conversation with them and open up their eyes to how things are outside of their tiny town, it can be mind-blowing. And not for all of them. Absolutely. There are still people out there who aren't blown away by any of it, and they're going to believe everything from their bubble, and that's it. But you'd be surprised how much of a person you can change, how much of an opinion you can change, not by telling them to change, not by forcing them to do anything, by purely giving them information and allowing them to make the choice to be, in most situations, a better person. Another example, and one that I have a hard time with personally, and I struggle with a lot, is discussing mental health issues. I am not a therapist. 99.9999999% of content creators are also not therapists. We just aren't meant to or capable of taking care of people who need real and serious help. And finding the balance between someone coming in and saying, yeah, I was kind of depressed today, I had a bad day, and someone coming into your channel being like, guys, everything's getting way too hard and I'm not sure if I can take it much longer, are hard lines to draw in the sand, right? Because you don't want to just push someone out of your community because they're struggling, right? So you have to find a way to be able to discuss it with them and figure out what those lines are that you're able to help with. Listening to someone and being someone's shoulder to cry on in a private DM because they're going through a hard time, that's something that a lot of us can do on a basic level as a basic human. That's why my DMs are open. That does not mean as a streamer, your DMs need to be open. If you are dealing with your own mental health issues and you cannot handle that kind of stress and responsibility of being the shoulder to cry on for possible hundreds or thousands of people, please don't do it. And then that's a boundary that you need to set and let people know in your chat. Hi guys, I'm not a therapist. We can't talk about mental health issues in here. This is not the place. Here is a link for a place that you can go to get help. And that can be the end of it. My first answer is, hey, it seems like you're going through something really serious. Please reach out to me privately on Discord or on Twitter. And as soon as I have the time to reach out and respond to you, I will. And then I also do have those links and resources for people if they ever do need something more serious like that. But again, those are lines that you have to draw for yourself. And that is one of the hardest ones that I have drawing, because I do know how triggering and difficult it can be for people who are having a hard time to log on somewhere that they are going to escape and see someone talking about something incredibly traumatic. I have a hard time doing my part, which is just listening to people sometimes who need to vent. I will physically start to feel my own anxiety building up, and I might have to say, hi guys, I'm really sorry if anyone's had a rough day today. I have too. So today, why don't we take everything that we felt today and all of that pain, we shake it off, and we instead focus on what we're doing today, which is laughing together, having some fun, looking at cute dogs, and playing some games to have some fun. And sometimes you have to say that. But again, this all comes down to you making your own personal boundaries. What is appropriate for someone to say to you and what isn't? And then regardless of who they are in your community, you need to crack down when they say it. If you don't like people flirting with you or making flirty comments, you need to say flat out, that doesn't make me comfortable. And that's okay. It's okay to set that boundary and say, hey, so-and-so, don't tell me I'm beautiful. I'm married. I'm not interested in anyone telling me that. And that's fine. If you think it's fine for people to tell you that you're beautiful, that's good too. If you like telling people, oh, you're beautiful, I love you, that's great. Another good example in my community is I am called the den mother. So there's tons of people in my community who call me mom or mother or den mother, and I'm totally fine with that. Please, please, dear God, please do not go into other streamers' communities and call them mom or mommy or mother. And then don't be like, well, Ravinia lets us call her mother. It does not matter what I or any other streamer allows in their community. It does not mean that it is allowed in another streamer's community. Boundaries are personal. But I do want to keep this kind of short because I don't want you to spend a lot of time listening to me about what my boundaries are and the things that I set for my own community, because that's not what's important here. What's important is you sitting down and having an honest conversation with yourself. And I want you to literally sit down, grab a freaking notepad, grab Post-it note, grab Microsoft Word or Notepad or whatever you have on your computer, or heck, write it on your phone. I don't care. Write down some boundaries that are important to you. Write down some things that when people come into your community and they say them or they do them, it makes you feel incredibly uncomfortable and you want it gone. And then figure out what are the steps going to be for you to kindly and responsibly make that go away. I really hope that this was helpful for some of you. I really hope that some of you had a little bit of an aha moment and that it makes you feel a little bit more confident and a little less sad about having to lose people who just don't mesh with your community. If someone doesn't mesh with your community, I promise you there is someone out there that does. And if you're a viewer and you walk into a community and you don't get along with some of their principles and their values, I promise you there are streamers out there who do fall in line with the values, principles, and boundaries that you have. So both viewers and streamers, don't waste time on people who you're just not going to mesh with, because there are so many out there that you will. I promise. Here's to happy and healthy content creation for everybody. I love you guys. Bye.